Hi, Taylor has to sneeze.
Well, now it's gone. Now that you said
You
something.
scared it out of her. My name is Cody, and I'm 32 years old. And this is my wife, Taylor. She's beautiful, and she's also pregnant with our first child. And this is Dad Dare, where I am daring myself to become and be the best dad that I can be. And today, we're talking about this. Hey, if you're new here and you're on YouTube, push that subscribe button in all the way and click the bell so you get notified when we post new videos. If you're on Facebook, give us a like. And make sure you check out daddare.com. I'm still working on the website, but eventually it's going to be really awesome. This book today, but really it's the topic of natural childbirth. And every month I am doing a different type of dare. I'm either daring myself to do something physical or something that is relational or something that is mental or something that is spiritual. And actually I've been taking on a lot of different dares at the same time. But on Instagram I've been putting out a specific dare every month. And last month was to start and finish a book. And I actually didn't say what book it was because we hadn't announced yet that we were having a baby. But this was the book that I started and finished last month, and it's Husband-Coached Childbirth by Robert A. Bradley, MD. It's all about natural childbirth and the Bradley method specifically. All of this is brand new to us, so this is really an opinion-based video from a young couple who's never been pregnant before or had kids before. There's this whole debate about whether I should say we're pregnant or she's pregnant. And so I'm trying to catch myself before I say it, but I just naturally have been saying we are pregnant because I feel like I'm part of the process, but she's experiencing something very different than I'm experiencing, and her body is pregnant. My body is not pregnant. But there's no word that describes what I'm experiencing in this season besides my wife is pregnant. Yeah, we talked about that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, and you're reading this book now.
Currently, yes.
Yeah. And it was really eye-opening to me. The biggest thing that really stood out to me was, hang on, I gotta turn that off. I don't know if it's specific to the Bradley method or it's in other methods as well, but just the involvement of the husband. I mean, this book specifically is called Husband-Coached Childbirth, and it basically sets it up where the husband has a responsibility in the birthing process where he learns about everything that's going to happen and then basically leads and guides the wife through the process, or the partner, or it doesn't, I guess, yeah, whatever. So but my role would be like being there for you emotionally as well as like as a coach. Like, hey, this is what's going on now. Like, remember to relax, or feel free to close your eyes right now, or whatever. Getting her water or a snack or whatever it is. And that's another piece. There's all of these like myths, I guess. It seems like it's super debated. But there's all these different opinions on what should and shouldn't happen through the process of child labor, and this is an opinion that is on one side that is very like pro midwife, pro doula, pro home birth. Even though this Bradley, he's not necessarily pro home birth, but yeah, it's just a more natural approach. Another thing that really stood out to me was the medicine, like the chemicals that are involved in the birth process in the hospital, and how quickly it actually goes into the baby's body. They have studies that have shown that just like an epidural and like how that impacts the baby, and then the process of like the baby being taken away so quickly and like even put into an infant room, and the reverse would be like having the baby go straight to the mother
For skin to
skin
breastfeeding.
contact, feeding, but that can't be done when when certain processes are used with the mother, because she might be out of it, or it might have been a C-section. And so there's all these things that I've just been learning a ton, and it's been super eye-opening. And I've kind of talked about it with you as I've been learning stuff. Anything that's kind of stood out to you from this book specifically, or?
Well, I'm pretty fresh into it. Like, I just kind of started it. And I never really thought about natural childbirth. I haven't really thought about it at all. Like what I would do. I would say the last couple of years I have been more natural minded in like products that I use and things around the house. So it kind of, like, when I was learning about it, I was like, oh yeah, like that makes sense for me to do it naturally. But I've never heard of like a husband-coached childbirth. So this book was really cool to get. My coworker lended it to us because that's what her and her husband did, and they had a really great experience with both their boys. I've never thought of it like that. You know, I always thought we would get a doula, and we're still talking about
still
it.
Could, yeah.
Yeah. I feel like they'll almost take that place of the doula as a husband coached, because that's what doulas do, is they coach you through labor. So it's just a different perspective that I hadn't thought of before, is the husband doing that. And in my experience, like, most husbands haven't really been involved, or they're in the waiting room, just from like friends and, you know, family members who have had babies, from what they've told me. So this approach is like new to me.
The benefit from a doula would be that they have a ton of experience.
Right. No,
you know,
right.
So where like I have not been involved in any births, so.
But just that like emotional support, I guess, is what I'm thinking.
Yeah. Dr. Bradley like grew up on a farm in the country, and so he really just watched like how animals give birth, and that there's no sterile environment, there's no specific it's not structured like in a hospital, but they just naturally go through the process, and he noticed just how calm the animals were throughout the process, and then how quickly they went back to being normal. And even the infants, or the younger animals that were born, like they would go back to being normal quicker, as in not being distressed. Anyways, they have a ton of stories in here of different families who have experienced like natural childbirth, and they experienced that as well, like going home from the hospital 2 hours later after a natural childbirth. And then we just started asking our friends and family members, you know, what did you do? Like, do you have a more natural childbirth? Did you induce or not? Did you have a home birth or not? I just met with one of our good friends, and they had a home birth, and we were just kind of asking him about that process. And then we talked to some friends who had their baby at the hospital and did kind of the normal traditional things, and how it was really like more of a negative experience for them. And I'm sure there have been some people who have had great, well, we know people who have come out from hospital births and had great experiences, but it seems to be fewer than I expected. Yeah.
I would say there are obviously certain situations where that is required, you know, like certain medications in the hospital or hospital setting or C-section. Like, if something were to happen to me during labor, of course we would go to the hospital. Professionals in that setting do what they do best. We're not like anti-hospital.
No, we're not. Well, I don't think we've really decided, but I've always said it's kind of up to you. I'll go with you whatever you decide. I'm here to support you and help you. overall, this book I think was put together really well. Just as far as like a book review, it was super eye-opening. The studies that were shared in here was done really well. As far as arguing for like their perspective, it was done really well, and they made a lot of really strong points. There were a few parts where they kind of attacked like a different perspective, but for the most part, it was pretty much like, this is what we do, and this is why we do it, and this is why we think it's the best. Like, whoa, natural childbirth sounds great. And we've already been, like Taylor said, a family that leans more towards natural than using drugs or whatever.
Chemicals.
Another book that I'm reading right now, I'm almost halfway through it, called Gentle Birth Choices. This is more of like a textbook. This has a lot of really interesting research studies done in here. The biggest one that I took away from here so far is like the argument of safety. So the biggest risk is trying to have your baby on your own, whether it's at home or somewhere, but like without any physicians, without any medical personnel at all. That's going to be the biggest risk. The second most, and this is out of 3 different scenarios. The second most was being at the hospital with a doctor. So that being like the second least risky. And then the least riskiest was being at home, your home, with a midwife. And so as far as the argument of safety goes, being at home with a midwife was the safest way for the baby's health and the mother's health, according to that specific study, which I thought was pretty interesting. She's been a champ. I mean, I'm sure that I'm sure that it's stressful having your body change so much, and just this whole hormones. You've been super tired, and you're still working.
Still working.
And
full-time.
So, yeah, she's been a champ. She's been a champ. You're reading this book.
I'm browsing that book, yeah.
And then you have this one. So yeah, we're learning a lot, and we're doing our part the best we can to read, asking people, talking with friends and family. If you have any experience with this, let us know your experience. What's like the top 3 things that you would tell us if you were to sit down and talk to us? We'll see you in the next one. And dads, hats off to you.